You need 2 pieces of fabric that are 52 by 42 centimetres, 1 piece 42 by 22 centimetres, 1 piece 10 centimetres by 42 centimetres, and another that's 22 centimetres by 142. You also need 1 or 2 long zips and some webbing for the straps. Begin with the piece that's 42 by 10, fold it in half lengthways and stitch this edge 1 centimetre seam. Open out the seam and iron it flat. So you've got the flattened seam. Now turn your tube the right way out. So here's the tube the right way out, now iron it flat. So there we have it ironed flat. Take it with the seam side down and lay it across the piece that's 22 by 42. Get it into the centre. This is going to become the handle on the top. So you need to mark some lines where it's a good distance for you to hold it. So probably here and here. They need to be equal distance from the side. You're going to stitch there, and then between here and here you need to really stitch well to hold this thing down tight, because you're going to have some weight in this bag. At this point, if you've got an overlocker, it's a good idea to overlock all the edges of all your pieces. Take the long piece and lay it face up, then take the piece that you've stitched the handle on, lay that face down on top of the long one, and pin this edge and stitch it a little over 1 centimetre from the edge. Here it's stitched. Open this out and iron the seam flat. Now repeat with the other 2 edges, the same thing, and this is going to form a loop in the whole thing. Take one of your side panels and lay it flat. Then take the loop you've just made and line the 2 seams with the handle face to face and matched with the edges of the piece, and pin that in place. And pin that all around the edges all the way around. This is where you need to get your zips. The side with the handle that you've stitched, this is the top of the bag, obviously. So we don't want to stitch the edges all the way around because we want to have a zip opening at the top of the bag. So here, depending on whether you've got 1 or 2 zips, I happen to have 2 because that's what I've got in my stash. Just make a note of where the zips reach to, which is approximately for me here. Mark that with a pin. And we're not stitching the top, we're only stitching the bottom section. So here we've stitched the seam now up to the mark where we had with the pin. Before we lay in the zips, we need to fold this edge back and this edge back and iron it so that we can have it nice and neat to lay our zips into. So now we've pulled the bag back the right side out, we've got our neatly ironed edges. and this is the end of the seam. I'm going to place the zips into here. I'm very sorry, it's a little difficult to show you with one hand. I'm going to place the zips inside so that the fabric sits just either side of the teeth. We pin it and we stitch it using the zipper foot. So there's the zip pinned in and ready to stitch. Just going to top stitch it, have the stitching showing on the outside. Now take your final piece of fabric, take some strips of webbing that you've already measured against your body and you're happy with the length of them, and place them either side of the centre and then pin them in place. And then come down the length of the side and do the same on the edges. Pin those in place, and now we're just going to tack those on with a big running stitch. I also happen to have one of these which I salvaged from an old suitcase that I'd like to have on the inside of my bag. So I turn to the inside of my back piece and I'm just going to pin that down the sides and tack it on. So now this is the part with the handle, the zip. So lay it with the handle there. Take your piece that you've just stitched your straps on and lay it so that those shoulder straps and the neck side, where you've got the two straps close together, that should line up there. Pin this and also pin the whole edge all the way around like we did before. There's the back panel pinned on. It needs stitching with a good strong stitch. So once you've got the back stitched on, pull these flaps down and pin them either to the back or to the side and just give them a good stitch to reinforce them, because they're going to take all the weight, and otherwise you're only going to have that row of stitching to hold all the weight. So those straps are now reinforced under there at the shoulders, and that's it, finished.